Hello, everyone. My name is Muhi Khwaja with the Muslim Philanthropy Podcast at American Muslim Community Foundation. Today on the show, I'm so honored to have on my dear friend and special colleague, Sara Lomelin. She is the Executive Director at Philanthropy Together. Welcome to the show, Sara.
Thank you so much for having me, Muhi. I'm very excited to be here.
Of course. So, for our listeners, just share a little bit more about your background. If you can share as much as you want about your family, about your school, and previous work, and we can just have a conversation around that.
Great. I am originally from Mexico City, born and raised in Mexico City. I went to an all-girl Catholic school my whole life, and then I went to college in Mexico City, and then I got married and I moved to the US. So I moved for a couple of years to Cambridge, Massachusetts. I did a graduate degree at Harvard University. And then after those couple of years, I moved to the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. I was there for 5 years. Then I moved to Dallas, Texas for about 7 years. And then I moved back to the Bay Area and I have been here for the last 10 years. So
Wow.
basically, half my life, and I'm going to date myself, but half my life has been in Mexico, half my life has been here. I am the oldest of a family of four. I have three brothers younger than me, and I have
That
three
makes a
children.
lot of sense, Sara. This is starting to all make a lot of sense.
You need to tell me why you're saying that.
Well, I'm the youngest of four, but I can just see like your leadership is so fantastic. So I could only imagine just having three younger siblings, not even the fact that they're brothers, but just being the eldest in your family. Yeah.
My brothers would tell you like, oh my God, she's so bossy. But yeah, the three of them are still in Mexico. My parents too are still in Mexico. I have, dual nationality, so I am Mexican, but I'm also American. I became an American citizen a couple of years ago, and I have three children. One in college in New York, one going into college in the fall. She's heading to MIT, and then my youngest, a boy who is a junior in high school.
Wow.
So grown children,
Very exciting.
yeah.
And
And then you want to, yeah, you wanted to hear about my work before philanthropy together, right?
mhm,
So I have been having kind of like a non-traditional way into philanthropy. Actually, I started, my background is in communications. So I studied communications, and again, dating me before the internet even existed. So, I used to have my my college papers and all my projects in floppy disks. Yeah, and even maybe the first semester ones were even with a typewriter, so I don't know if a lot of
nice.
people know how to use those. Um, but so I started in communications. I worked for a financial institution back in Mexico City, first in PR and internal communications, and then I was in charge of the customer service, electronic banking area, which was really amazing to see because this is before the internet. When people used to call the bank every single day to ask for their balance and
Wow.
their just to see their movements on their account. So it was pretty great, to lead a customer service team of about 40 people at that point. Then, I had some years with when I was an entrepreneur. I had my own business, uh, making baby sleeping bags for car seats and strollers,
Interesting.
and very interesting. That was a big learning for me, and I had a lot of fun. And then after that, I decided to, become the ultimate volunteer. to really understand, coming from another country, I really wanted to understand the educational system, where my kids were going to school. And also, I have always been someone that wants to get involved in everything. So I became, the room mom and the mom organizing the fundraising event and here and there. And with a group of friends in Dallas, Texas, without knowing what a giving circle was, we started a giving circle to support,
Nice.
to support nonprofit organizations that were helping Latino mom and children in the Dallas area. So yeah, we just got together and started a very informal giving circle without that, without even knowing that that was called a giving circle. And that was back in 2007. I moved back to the Bay Area in 2010, and a good friend of mine introduced me to the Latino Community Foundation based in
Hmm.
California. And a couple of months later, there was an opportunity to join the foundation in a development role, and I joined the foundation. I was pretty nervous because I said, okay, I have never worked in a nonprofit or done any fundraising. But my friend said, have a background in sales, and you are someone that uh, is always engaged in community, so you'll define. And since day one, it was a big learning experience. Um, a year into that, as a way to grow the individual donor base, we started a giving circle at the Latino Community Foundation.
Hmm.
So, with a group of 14 women, the first San Francisco Latina Giving Circle was born. And, from there, it just went beyond all of our expectations. So one giving circle became two after a year, and then became five, and the Latino Giving Circle Network was born with support from the Kellogg Foundation
Nice.
at that point. And I left LCF at the beginning of 2019, and the Latino Giving Circle Network at that point, and still is the largest Latino donor network in the US, with 22 giving circles throughout California, more than
Wow.
500 people involved that have moved more than $1.7 million into very small grassroots nonprofit
It's
organizations that a
incredible.
lot of times, as these small grassroots organizations are invisible for big philanthropy. So that's, when I started being totally passionate about giving circles. And during that time, I started to be, to getting connected with amazing leaders in the giving circle field, right? Marsha Morgan from
For
the
sure.
Community Investment Network, Hallie Lee from the Asian Women Giving Circle, Pat from APIP, um, at that point, Joel Berman, and then Liz Fisher from Amplifier, and just a group of leaders in 2017 said, as you well know, like, okay, there's a council on foundations to support community foundations, but there's nothing to support the collective giving field and the field of giving circles.
Hmm.
Um, so that's when we first got together, and the idea of a backbone infrastructure to support the giving circle field at the national level was something written on a post-it note, and a couple of years later is a reality.
I have so many post-it notes, so hopefully one of them becomes a good idea.
Totally, of course it will, of course it will.
But thank you so much for sharing that because I see you as such a champion in this field, and I wanted to provide an opportunity for so many other people listening to also learn not only about philanthropy together, but the Latino Community Foundation and all the great things that you've been involved with in the past. Um, and it's great to see that first giving circle that you created with the other women in Texas comes full circle to this is what you're doing every single day So let's chat a little bit more about, from that group of women who created the Giving Circle convening, right, to build the infrastructure and backbone for Giving Circles, and then how that became Philanthropy Together.
Totally. So yeah, as I was telling you, I got a call. I think it was from Joel at Amplifier at that point in 2017, saying, "Hey, we just have this idea of, um, figuring out which are the networks of giving circles that are around the country and just get together for a couple of days to brainstorm, right? So that first meeting was at the end of 2017 in Michigan, and we were about 50 people, um, two people from each network, and then some funders, some researchers. So there was the collective giving research group, with Jason Franklin, Julia Carboni. um, so during 2 days, we were all talking, right? And everybody was, in a different stage of growth, or, as you know, the Giving Circle model is so flexible and so, nimble that, everybody was doing their own thing. After those couple of days, we said, okay, we want to do something, but we don't know yet what we want to do, what we need as a field. So we decided to embark in a full year co-design project. Um, so that co-design project was led by five Giving Circle networks. So it was a Latino Community Foundation, Amplifier, Philanos, the Asians Women Giving Circle, and CIN. And even though we were the core team, and of course, everybody organized by the amazing Isis Kraus, um, we involved more than 60 people in hour-long interviews, right? We were doing Zoom interviews and hours of Zoom before Zoom was even popular. Yes, we have, so many screenshots from those Zoom meetings. We created working groups with funders, Given Circle leaders, Given Circle members, researchers, academics. And then we ended up at the Gates Foundation in a convening with about 100 people. So we really want to say that Philanthropy Together is the brainchild of more than 100 people. Um, we were during that process, we were extremely transparent, and we included everyone's voice in what, for me, the moment this beautiful business plan was ready, we were very proud. Philanthropy Together is a 5-year initiative to connect and scale the collective giving movement, right? That's how it started, with a mission of democratize and diversify philanthropy through the power of giving circles. We always said that we wanted to build the party that we want to attend. So, always having racial equity as our North Star, and, the values of being nimble, being flexible, being, open to new ideas, being inclusive, and also to be joyful, right? Because that's everyone knows that it's part of a given circle. A big part of being, and being a member of a given circle is just to be happy, right? To create
Totally.
community. We always said that, the moment a given circle becomes too like process oriented, and it feels like work, people stop going to the giving circle, right? It has to be fun, it has to be light. I feel that there are many, many challenges that our communities are facing, and problems that we're trying to fix, but giving should be something joyful and something enjoyable, and being in communities is the best way to give for me.
Yeah, I think that definitely resonates. And, you know, my experience in the Muslim community growing up and attending so many different galas, events, banquets, like almost every other weekend, there was a fundraiser for something. And it's interesting because, you know, now I work as a fundraiser in development, but all along it was always like, who, for the sake of God or for the sake of faith, can give X amount of dollars? And it was like this big whole process and awkward silences, not a lot of strategy, just going on a whim. You don't know who's RSVP'd, who's in the audience. None of that strategy is there. To then get to a point where the communities now has, development professionals at these Muslim-led nonprofit organizations, have seen it complete like 180. There's definitely a lot more growth that needs to happen at so many more organizations, but I think at the same time, giving circles within the Muslim community are creating the expectation of what should be the case of, we're going to make it easier for you so that you don't need to jump through all of these hoops to plan all of these
Totally.
events, but we'll come together, we'll get X amount of dollars, we will invite organizations to pitch and present, and then distribute funding. So it's really great to see that donors are now coming to nonprofits instead of nonprofits always having to come to donors. And that, interplay has been really fascinating to see.
I love it. And I think you touch on something super important, and especially, for me, that I feel that I came into philanthropy kind of through the side door or back door, or, I remember saying like, oh my God, like this is kind of what I'm doing. It's kind of guerrilla development because I never studied fundraising. So I was trying different things. Um, so I think, yes, I love the idea that we're going back to the roots of, making things easier. We always tell, during Launchpad, which is our Giving Circle incubator, we tell our new Giving Circle leaders that the beauty of Giving Circles is to break those power dynamics. It's to really, look at your nonprofit partner to the eyes and recognizing their leadership, right? They know what their community needs. We need to, stop with that idea that we as donors not know what the community needs. We don't. We just need to be, the instrument to get amazing nonprofit leaders the funding that they need to support their communities. So I think the more that we can move towards, trust-based philanthropy, towards, making it easier for nonprofits to get the funding that they need, the better. And I think, mainstream philanthropy, right? Big philanthropy has a lot to learn from giving circles and
For
the way
sure.
we do things.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
you know, I've been following trust-based philanthropy for a few years now as well. And for those unfamiliar, it's really just a concept of, funders giving unrestricted funding and allowing nonprofit organizations to really not have to jump through a lot of hoops to apply for the funding, have more flexibility with how it's spent, making the report back process a lot more simple, and many other benefits. You can go to trustbasedphilanthropy.org to learn more about it as well. So, Sara, I also want to chat more in depth on the programs and services that Philanthropy Together offers. I know you mentioned the Launchpad. So, however you want to share more on Philanthropy Together, go for it.
Thank you. So, yes, we have four different strategic focus areas: showcase, scale, strengthen, and sustain. So, showcase and scale is to bring new people that are not part of a Giving Circle to join the Giving Circle movement. In terms of showcasing, we want the words Giving Circle or collective giving to become, you know household names, right? We want everyone to know what a Giving Circle is. So we want to highlight different Giving Circle stories. We put together a really fun website that lives on whatisagivincircle.com that explains the model. It's a great tool for existing giving circles also to recruit new members, because it's very easy to understand. And we're working, to all the time to try to get more stories of giving circles across the country and across the world, in mainstream media. Um, in terms of scaling, we have Launchpad, which is our Giving Circle incubator, and we have three different kind of Launchpad. So we have Launchpad for You, which is for individuals, people like you and me that want to start a Giving Circle with our friends or our colleagues or family members. And it's a 5-week interactive program online, um, with coaching to give you all the tools that you need to start your own giving circle. Then we have Launchpad for Hosts, which is for host institutions, community foundations, Jewish federations, philanthropic intermediaries that want to host giving circles inside their organizations. And then we have Launchpad for partners. So we can partner with organizations to do a special Launchpad program. So we have had one in Vermont to just help kickstart some giving circles in Vermont. We have done Launchpad Lazos in Latin America, with a group of Jewish professionals there in different countries. We just did one in Chile too, kind of like a condensed launchpad there. So we are open, if people have some ideas or want to partner with us to do that. We're also doing pop-up giving circles, and a pop-up giving circle is something that our friends at Amplifier invented some years ago, and it's a giving circle in 90 minutes, right? So we are working with some tech companies to do pop-up giving circles inside their employee resource groups or ERGs.
Nice.
So we did, yeah, it's super fun because it's a great way to introduce the concept of giving circles for people that have never been part of it. So we're working with Google. So we did one for Latinx Heritage Month. We did one for Black History Month, one for Women's History Month. We did one with Giphy. And, we are open to work with any company and corporation to do some also like customized programs with them. So that is, showcase and scale. Then moving into strengthening and sustain, that's for the existing giving circle field. And we want, we want giving circles, we want to make it easier for giving circles to do their work. We don't want anybody to be reinventing the wheel every time, they have a question or they're trying to do something different. So we are creating these spaces to do interweaving of giving circles. So more communication among networks, among independent giving circles. We have a community forum where any member of any giving circle you can join, you can ask questions, and people from different giving circles can answer to you. We're running communities of practice. So in 2020, as a response of racial equity reckoning of in our country, and right after the killing of George Floyd, we ran a couple of webinars in partnership with CIN, um, to embed racial equity for everyday givers, right? And after those couple of webinars that we have more than 700 people joining us, we moved into a 6-month long community of practice around racial equity. And we talked about, how do you embed racial equity in the culture of your giving circle, in your grant making, and how do you share power with your community? We worked with about 75 giving circles, mostly all white giving circles that were very interested in, starting into this journey, and they are continuing this work. So we're planning to running that community of practice again this year. We also are working with a group that we're calling the Social Justice Giving Circle Project. We have a survey out to figure it out, which given circles are working into social justice or are interested in getting involved in social justice and supporting the social justice, activists and movements in the country. So we're very interested about that too. We recently finished our storytelling community of practice. All those programs are free for Giving Circle members, so I want to address that too. And then super, super excited because today we just launched in partnership with Grapevine the Global Giving Circle directory. So, right now, if you want to join an existing Giving Circle and you don't know if there's one near you, you can go to the directory and plug your zip code or, the issue area that you care about, and find if there's a Given Circle near you that is accepting new members, or if there's nothing near you, well, you can start your own, right? So that, for us is we're super excited, super proud, because before this directory, that research lived in a horrible Google spreadsheet that no one could access. So this is, beautiful. And, of course, we need all Giving Circle leaders to, claim your Giving Circle, update your information. But imagine, like, you as a Giving Circle leader can use it to get more members. You can also use it to find other Giving Circles that are, similar as yours, and maybe you can do a joint or a solidarity grant with them. Or, if you're new to this, you can join an existing Giving Circle, right? So we're very excited about that. And then last but not least, in terms of sustaining, we are something that it was very important since the beginning, of this idea is, how do we get all together, right? The power that it is just to see that there's so many people involved in this movement, right? Like, we think that there's about right now more than 200,000 people involved in the Giving Circle. So
Wow.
imagine, right, to getting together
Hmm.
with a lot of, change makers. So we're hosting the We Give Summit during the month of May. Everybody's welcome. First week is all free. And then, we will have, my God, we have more than 120 speakers.
Wow.
And I know that you are going to be speaking there.
Yeah.
We have more than 30 sessions. It's going to be incredible. And again, the first week is free. And then if you want to get like an all access pass, you can share with people your code, or, it's it's not expensive to join for all this amazing content. We have kind of like a pay what you can model. So
For
we
sure.
hope a lot of people can join us.
So you definitely mentioned a lot. So I want to give some plugs out there too. Grapevine.org is the online Giving Circle directory. WeGiveSummit.org is the month of May, all of the different conferences and topics on Giving Circles with all the speakers. I'll be presenting on one around interfaith and one around racial equity and justice. So really excited to be part of those conversations. And I think even just like the whole start and genesis of Philanthropy Together, I got introduced to Philanthropy Together and the Giving Circle convening partners probably sometime in like 2019 or 2018. Amplifier held a pop-up giving circle in San Francisco that I attended, and then from there I attended their giving circle incubator, and then from there got connected with everybody else. So it's been really wonderful just to have a seat at the table, and I would love to just thank the visionary people behind Philanthropy Together and the folks at Amplifier, Liz in particular, just of always including not only me, but American Muslim Community Foundation. And that's meant so much to be part of these conversations around faith and philanthropy and giving circles. And now we launched our American Muslim Women's Giving Circle in Women's History Month. We're planning an interfaith giving circle together. And beyond that, we have other giving circles in New York and in the Bay Area and across the country with hundreds of families participating. So it's really exciting to see all of that come together. And I can't stress enough how much of a resource Launchpad for Hosts has been. And even some of our members from the Giving Circles have attended the Launchpad for Giving Circle members. So now I'm just thinking we probably got to do the Launchpad partner, and any corporations that have Muslim ERGs, we can approach them together and work with them on trying to come up with creative ways that their ERGs can become giving circles as well.
Totally, totally. Because we have seen so great response on the pop-ups, right? Like, for example, the one about around Black History Month. In a matter of 90 minutes, 30 people raised $31,000. And the
Wow.
great thing for this is that, it's a win-win for the company too, because they
Hmm.
can align, their corporate responsibility program with, and inspiring their team members to give. So people are so excited about being part of this, that it has been great. Also, I want to flag that the directory, yeah, the main directory lives in Grapevine. There is an embeddable version on the Philanthropy Together website.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
also, if people want to embed the Giving Circle directory on their website, that's possible. So they just need to contact us
Awesome.
and we
Yeah,
can make that happen. And it could be, it can be filterable, right? Like if you just want, the Muslim Giving Circles to be there, we can just embed a version that only has the Muslim Giving Circles. So
really cool.
yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
definitely add that to our website as a resource going forward. Um, so I'd love to chat a little bit more on just philanthropy in general, and what does working at Philanthropy Together and being able to impact giving circles every day, like what does it mean to you? Like why are you in this and believe in it so much?
It's so funny, and I'm going to get emotional. This is insane. Um, I wake up every morning thinking I have landed my dream job. Like, I
That's great.
love what I do.
Yeah,
I love what I do. I think, um it's kind of addictive. It's kind, I since the first moment, back in Dallas with my friends, right? Like, it feels so good to be able to give and to support organizations in an equitable way, right? Without having them jump through hoops. It feels so good. And something that someone told me lately is that, as a Given Circle member, the moment you're giving a grant, you don't say, "Oh, I'm giving a grant of $500," if that's your annual donation. I called my mom and I said, "I just gave out $50,000," right? Because the power, yeah, I mean, it's the power of the Giving Circle, how the impact is multiplied, not only the dollars, but also, going beyond the dollar, and how do you
for sure.
engage and how you can, open doors for organizations. And for me, it has been, transformational to see, especially, with the Latino community, because I have spent a lot more years, working with Latino communities, is how, young young people, young Latinos and Latinas, in their 20s, just out of college, they joined one of our Giving Circles. And never too early to start giving back, because, my mom, my dad, my family was the the product of these nonprofit organizations, they
Hmm.
help our families, so it's never too early to start giving back. For me, that's extremely important, and how we are taking philanthropy on our in our own hands. I know that for us as Latinos, for you as Muslims, maybe this happens to you too, right? Like a lot of times people see us as recipients of philanthropy, not
Mm,
as philanthropists. And for
sure.
me, it's important to change that, right? It's like we're here to change the
Narrative.
narrative of
Yeah.
who a philanthropist is. And I heard something yesterday that philanthropy is not about the wealth. It shouldn't be about the wealth. It's about generosity, and just changing the way we see ourselves.
I love
And
that.
we know that it is dismal the amount of philanthropic dollars that go to support, BIPOC causes,
Hmm.
LGBTQ causes, women and girl causes in the country, and we as Giving Circles can change that.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of what you said resonates with, why I do what I do and the passion that's there. And one of the things we often say is like, Muslims may be 1% of the population in America, but is 1% of philanthropy coming to the Muslim community? Or is 1% of charitable giving being done by the Muslim community, right? It goes both ways. We should be held accountable to do our part as well.
Totally.
And I'm hopeful that through places like American Muslim Community Foundation and the Center on Muslim Philanthropy and Pillars Fund and a few others that are in the space, that we can really change that narrative, that we can showcase the impact that we have collectively.
Totally. I'm
Uh,
I'm 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 with you exactly. We need to move the needle on both
Definitely.
sides.
And I think, like you said, especially when it comes to BIPOC communities, like we're in this together. The Muslim community is comprised of all of those communities. So,
Yeah.
there's more expectation, and there should be more expectation on the Muslim community, not only based on who we're comprised of, but what our faith calls us to do, to be there in support of others. So, leading this community foundation has been one of the things that keeps me going every day. Yeah, I mean, what else would you like to share? Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up or discuss that maybe we didn't touch base on already?
No, just to say that I am super excited about the Interfaith Giving Circle. And hopefully, in a few years we will see a lot of interfaith giving circles all around. I remember, back in that first convening in 2017, that we would have the different networks with different identities, and it makes sense, right? Because we feel, we feel safe in our own identity. But that's, someone said, like, our goal should be to have these circles that are totally mixed, right? And I
For
think
sure.
we are moving towards there, because something that I forgot to mention, and it's extremely important. Even though Philanthropy Together launched, last year in the middle of the pandemic, and we have a very small team, we have our brain trust, our network brain trust behind us. And you are part of that. And we have, representatives from, 13 networks of giving circles, and we meet every 6 weeks, to talk about the field and to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that we're moving, forward, our movement, right? And that, for me, knowing that all of you have our back and that we're all working together is priceless, because um, we were created to support the Given Circle. So we want to make sure that we are supporting you. So we're always open for feedback about our programs, our resources, anything that you want. Something that I forgot to mention, we also have a YouTube channel that it's a lot of fun. we're constantly
Hmm.
adding content there, ideas in conversation videos. We have the series Tips with Taisha
Hmm.
about different things that may be helpful for your giving circle. So again, extremely proud and humble and honored to be leading this work in partnership with all of you.
Likewise, and even just seeing, philanthropy together come to those meetings on the interfaith giving circle means so much. And I know that each of the Brain Trust members probably feel the same way. Just to have philanthropy together as a network of support, it often feels like, especially at a small organization like AMCF, like I'm in this alone. But when we have the support of a network with dozen or more people who are doing the same type of work, it's really empowering. So know that your support means a lot to us.
Oh, thank you, Mohi.
Of course. Well, people can find out more about Philanthropy Together at philanthropytogether.org. They have a whole bunch of resources there. If you're interested in giving circles, whatisagivingcircle.com, and so many other tips on charitable giving, best practices, research. And, if you're interested in joining a giving circle, check out their directory to find one near you or start one on your own. Sara, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I'm glad that we had an opportunity to catch up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I hope to see everyone on the at the We Give Summit.
Yes,
And if you have never, be part of a pop-up giving circle, that first day of the We Give Summit, May 4, we have a pop-up giving circle that you can join and be, in community with people from around the world. So it's going to be
very
super
exciting.
exciting.
Likewise.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye.